Okay, this is part 2 of our round 3 debate. We are starting off with the, we did our cross-sex. Okay, yeah. We are starting off with the affirmative consolidation, and Adeline is speaking in. Yeah.
Alrighty, if everyone is ready, I will be gaining my time starting now. All right, just to go over the attacks made on our case, I'd like to point out that our opponents only attacked our contention 1, or only attacked our contention 2, didn't touch on our contention 1. And they attacked our contention 2, talking about conflicts with science. Now, as stated in their contention 1, they talked about the Nazis. Now, I have evidence stating that, which I can bring up if our opponents ask for it, Nazis, the whole issue with the Nazis wasn't directly related to religion. It was actually due to social Darwinism and the theory that Hitler believed that they were the superior race. Now, and the blue eyes and blonde hair. So we have, so it actually correlates with, so it's actually not a sole cause of religion. Going back to our case, talking about how about religion as a whole, we need to not focus on just one certain religion, but religion as a whole, because that is what the resolution talks about. Me and my opponent touch on a couple different religions, as our opponents seem to only talk about the Christian belief. Moving on. All right, so as we can see here, our opponents talk a lot about the war's cause. When there's statistics that show out of like 1,763 wars recorded, only 123 wars were slightly or related to religion. And also moving on to the fact that religion is served as a vessel. Religion isn't the sole cause of a bunch of these problems. Religion serves as a vessel in which people can blame their unmoral and evil contentions onto. Moving on, our case still, just moving on to defend our case. Our case still stands today, 1, because our contention 1 was not touched upon. Our contention 2 still stands due to the fact that it wasn't a sole cause, or education. As we talk about, it not only promotes education, and we show that students who do participate in religious practices tend to succeed better in school and education-wise, but also that the lead of that the practice of studying religion in school systems will help students progress and stop the religious-based hate crimes. And then our subpoint of morality was not touched upon, therefore it still stands. And due to these reasons, our opponents also contact our case, saying that because the Catholic Church didn't speak out publicly about the Nazi crimes, that it made them therefore supporters. Not speaking out doesn't support nor negate anything. Therefore, no inference can be made from that. That's all. Thank you.
All right. Let me pull up my timer and I will begin. All right. Are my opponents ready? Partner ready? All right, then I'll begin in 3, 2, 1. So first of all, to go over some claims made by my opponent, they stated that we said that the Catholic Church just didn't speak out against the Nazis. However, this is simply not true. We stated how many mainstream Protestant and Catholic Church leaders made numerous compromises with Nazi authorities and supported many Nazi measures throughout the period. But they also stated that that we said that the Holocaust and World War II was solely motivated by religion. However, we did not say that. We simply stated that the Catholic Church failed to speak out against that, and they supported the Nazis, leading to leading to people thinking that it was okay in the eyes of God. We never said that it was that World War II was started by religion. We said how it contributed. Moving on, I would like to talk about their contention on health, specifically with the mental health. Quote, even those devout Catholics who aren't in the front row seats for Francis visits may see benefits to their belief. A slew of research has tied together with religion being overall better for mental health. However, religion could also be a double-edged sword. Negative religious beliefs, for example, that God is punishing or abandoning you, have been linked with more harmful outcomes, including higher rates of depression and lower quality of life. Quote, if people have a loving, kind perception of God, they seem to experience benefits. But we know that there's a darker side to spirituality. If you tend to see God as a punitive, threatening, or unreliable, then it's not very helpful. I'd also like to talk about how they we didn't really talk about war that much. We brought up massacres that were motivated by religion. We did not talk about war. The one mention we brought up with war was, the World War II thing. And then I'd like to also give a source for one of the things my opponent said about censorship in the church. That was from Retner 15, Rachel, MA in journalism, New York University, and BS molecular biology from University of California, San Diego Life Science. And so one of the main things I would like to bring up that's kind of a flaw in the opponent's case is that it doesn't focus on history. When evaluating whether or not something is beneficial for society, you have to look at history. And as you can see, that countless amounts of bloodshed can never make up the good that has come from religion, or they say that they come from religion, can never make up for any of that. Has nothing to do with any of that. Same with the fact that they brought up AA. AA is not inherently religious. People bring it in religion, but AA isn't a religious thing. It can happen without religion, therefore that is pretty much completely irrelevant. And then I also like to talk, yes, and that is completely, yes. Just a moment, my computer did something silly. Oh, furthering on the Alcoholics Anonymous. Alcoholics Anonymous was established in 1935, where knowledge of the brain, actually, I'm out of time, sorry.
Okay, and then I believe we will start running prep time if it's all right with everyone, starting now. Alrighty. That was all the prep time we have. So.
All right, you guys can begin whenever you're ready.
I will begin now. Our opponents have excuse me, I'm so sorry. Our opponents have stated several things that I will now go over, beginning with the statement of religion could be used as a double-edged sword. Could be. That is a potential. It is not confirmed. However, yet we have not numerous, but we have evidence on how it's more beneficial to be connected to a religious practice, which therefore makes their stance of religion also has downside effects. It now falls. As well as they continuously bring up history and how history in the use of We should be looking at history and deciding our future and our present on our history instead of actually learning on our history as history should be used. For the reasons of lack of evidence and unable to stand with points, such as the downsided effects of religion, the AF have clearly won this case. Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna be taking the rest of our 1 minute and 39 seconds of prep time. And once I have my timer ready. All right, I'm gonna start that right now. All right, that is time. And so with that, okay, are all of your cameras off or is my internet? Okay, I thought my internet was just bugging. All right. All right, so since that is time, I'm going to be starting my speech. I'm going to be starting my speech right. Okay, right now. So first, just going over a basic summary of the round, it is very clear that the neg has won this debate. I'm going to be starting off with our opponent's contentions. First is their health contention, which is basically directly clashes with our case because obviously genocide and assimilation isn't very good for mental health. And so that was attacked just within our case. However, my partner brought up cards talking about how religion actually leads to depression and worse mental health, especially when you have things and people telling you that things that you are doing is wrong and is a sin. That's just an example, but statistically it does lead to worse mental health. And not only that, but things such as genocide, assimilation, massacres, these are all bad and are implied within our case. Not only that, my partner briefly touched on a piece of evidence about Alcoholics Anonymous, and I'm just going to continue that. We have this piece of evidence from Glazer from 2015, just talks about how no conclusive data exists on how well Alcoholics Anonymous works. In 2006, the Cochrane Collaboration, a healthcare research group, reviewed studies going back to the 1960s and found that no experimental studies unequivocally demonstrated the effectiveness of AA. So I'm just going to cut that card there and talk about how, and basically that just talks about how AA doesn't actually benefit society. And so because of that, that entire contention falls, also because of religion making mental health worse. Then moving on to their second contention, we talked about how censorship, we brought up evidence about how religious leads to censorship, specifically of textbooks. And not only that, it just leads to misinformation and discourages students to explore science and stuff like that. And so is more said education really better for society if it's misinformed and it's censored, and that's just not good. That's just only doing harm for society. And if we're talking about the resolution, on balance, does religious beliefs and practices benefit society? No, because we have proved how both of their contentions don't actually benefit society. And then moving on to their subpoint about morality, that is also implied and attacked within our case, because obviously genocide and massacres and assimilation isn't moral at all. Next, moving on to our contentions, they still stand, because first, talking about our first contention with genocide, we talked about how Christian beliefs supported the Nazis and they didn't denounce them, and that teaches their followers that that is okay and justified. Next, for our first subpoint on slavery, we had a Bible quote that specifically justified slavery. And obviously, if somebody thinks that slavery is morally wrong, but they're seeing that it's taught in their beliefs, they're going to continue that slavery because it is justified in their beliefs, and they believe that it is justified and okay in the eyes of God. Next, and then finally, moving on to our subpoint B, which is assimilation, we proved with evidence how these were Christian residential schools that assimilated Native American children. And for all of these reasons, the NEG has proved that religion is not beneficial for society. Thank you. All right. That's it, right? We're done. Okay, yeah.
Yeah.